episode 2 of the Take Two Sports podcast. We're back. This
We're back
time,
at it.
it's for real now. Folks, we got Abdullah, we got Liam, we got Dany. We do not have Davison today. Unfortunately, he could not join us.
Who is this brown man that replaced Davison?
But in his replacement, folks, we got
We
Yousuf.
all think the same thing.
Let's go. Special guest.
Yousuf, introduce yourself a little bit.
He's so special. He's such
Hi,
a special guy.
I'm Yousuf, and I hope to go to UCLA next year. And my favorite teams are San Antonio Spurs, Milwaukee Bucks, Baltimore Ravens, and the Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
How did he miss
Packers.
with every
He
single
missed
one
with
of those?
I know,
every
bro. What
How
the
did he miss with everyone?
That's my
All
bet.
right,
That's
well,
on me.
Yousuf, we're glad you could fill in for Davison this week.
Always feeling
And
it.
so let's start off with the hottest topic in sports right now, and that's the
Me.
Super Bowl. The
Oh,
Super
He's
Bowl.
hot.
But let's talk about the conference championships that happened this last Sunday. We had a couple good games. They were close in their own regards. One was high scoring, one was a defensive battle, one was
That
a
one
choke
stunk.
job. The other one was also kind of a choke job. So let's talk about it for a bit. Let's discuss. Let's start off with the NFC Championship,
I don't
where the
wanna.
49ers overcame a 17-point deficit at halftime
That was a
to
win
win
quarter right there.
34-31.
Hey, Nate, I want you to play the clip. I told everyone, I said, I am not worried about the 49ers. I told everybody, and I said it. I was like, I'm not worried about the 49ers. Not even a half. Not even a half. Kyle Shanahan has been on the other side of that. In 2016 with the Falcons, he was their offensive coordinator.
Ooh, I forgot about
had
that.
that 28.3 lead, and he reversed the roles. All right.
He learned.
Now I'm a little worried about my 49ers pick to win the Super Bowl, but at least they made it this far. All right. I'm worried. Mahomes is
Yep.
him, unfortunately.
I'm gonna go off of Liam, and I'm gonna say I also picked the 49ers, but then I also was kind of right by saying they should worry a little bit about the Lions. But they still overcame what I thought they would do. But he also said that I would be a little bit scared because they're not as good as their regular season form. And like you said, Mahomes is him, so we're gonna see what happens.
Oh, okay. I will say with my picks, in my bracket, I picked the Niners. And then on last episode, I did choose the Lions. I switched it up. And I was really feeling it through half. I feel like a lot of people were. I just gotta say, that was the ultimate choke job. I mean, the offense went stale, missing 2 fourth down conversions in field goal range and just not help. And then
Only
your
for that
defense,
field
who
goal.
was playing
Not
really
field goal.
well to start, your defense was playing really well, very energetic to start, and then they disappeared. And Christian McCaffrey, who after the conference championship weekend is my new favorite pick for MVP, TBH.
I'm gonna go with
I
you.
think he is the
I
most
agree with
unstoppable player in the league at his position. So he came alive. Brock Purdy stopped overthrowing people. He settled in a little bit. And then the big thing was the crowd got back into it. We knew that playing in San Francisco is going to be hard. The Lions were able to overcome it for the start, but it all fell apart, man. Choke job.
Anna Fry's going to the Super Bowl, guys.
To me, this seemed like a game where the Lions did not lose to the 49ers. They lost to Dan Campbell. That's what I was watching.
They lost to themselves.
Yeah.
They had that game. That was their game.
They could have kicked a field goal, tie it up.
Yep. You take your points in that situation.
When
10
you're-
out of 10 times you take your points.
I think that it wasn't a choke job; it was an edge job. They edged themselves.
Yeah.
They edged
Oh,
hard.
so close! So
Okay.
close. Yeah.
After this game, I feel like I could see Brandon Ayuk being that wide receiver 1 role in the near future. He's been getting.
I've been saying this all year. He was
Like-
wide receiver 1 all.
He averaged
year.
over 20 yards of He only had 3 receptions, but those were big game time receptions.
I mean,
that,
he had the catch of the year.
that was an
Yeah.
insane catch.
What a Lions moment, by the way.
Yeah.
That's very Lions.
It makes sense.
I feel sorry for all Lions fans.
I don't even think you can chop it up to it being a Lions moment. That's just an NFC North moment.
That's
Here's
true.
my here's
All right.
I have a
All
I have a
right.
I have an interesting thing to talk about. So one of the many quotes post game coming from Dan Campbell in that Lions locker room was he said that he feels like this was like our best shot, or like maybe this might have been our only shot in a while. And at first everyone's like, what? This Lions team's good and they're pretty young too, to be honest. Their rookie class is outstanding. And so at first I was puzzled, but I'm starting to see it. Maybe not the way he's seeing it, but like I actually kind of feel that way too. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, how much does this matter? Oh well. The Lions this year did technically have an an easier schedule based on just the way they finished. It was a pretty easy schedule. They maybe lost to some teams they shouldn't have lost to be honest. And then in the playoffs, I feel like although they're both really, really good teams who surged at the right time in the Rams and the Bucks, I feel like out of the NFC, that's one of the more favorable paths to the conference championships. To be honest with you, because the Packers were hot. The Cowboys are the Cowboys, but that's okay. We don't talk about that. And so I feel like they had very favorable matchups, and also they had the whole nation behind them this year because it's their first year being relevant.
Well,
I feel like a lot of that national hype is going to wear off next year, and they're going to have a first place schedule. You know,
The
I
issue
think-
is the NFC North is getting tighter. The NFC North is going to be a lot tighter next year, even if it's just the Packers. Wait, shut the fuck up. I see this dude grinning over here. It's going to be a lot closer than it was this year, even if it's only the Packers. But I mean, the Packers are a team that I would be scared of.
Yeah,
I mean, we know
They
it's
just-
not going to be the Bears. We know that much.
I'm.
All right. Anyway,
I'm gonna. Hold on. Let me ask you.
any team in the NFC North is capable of winning more games. And the Lions should have lost to the Bears twice this year. They only ended up losing once. The Packers smoked them on Thanksgiving. I mean, they didn't really run away with the NFC North this year, to be honest with you. Outside of the Vikings, sorry, Nate. But other than that, they didn't really run away with anything. And I don't see that changing.
Well, for what I saw from the Lions this year was that they played up and down to people. They never played the same. A bad opponent, they'd play down. A good opponent, they'd play up. So we never really saw them be consistent in the way that like they're going to be the exact same team the whole way. Like in the first round or in the last two rounds, they ran the ball a lot more than they did in this game against the Lions. And then also coming back to what Liam said last week on the pod is when he mentioned is Jared Goff the guy. Now when you look at Dan Campbell, I don't know if he necessarily means that the Lions will be back. I don't know if he means that this exact team will be back.
I feel like they'll make some changes.
I think some changes will be made, and maybe potentially for them to get over that hump, like Liam said, it might not be Goff.
I mean, they
Hooker.
have a lot of room for improvement on that team, but it is going to come down to quarterback. The only issue is they're not going to have a position in the draft where they're going to be able to take one of the top guys. There's no premier guy going into free agency who's going to hit free agency. Every guy that you could even be remotely interested in, like a Lamar, a Dak Prescott, not Lamar, you would be extremely interested, but like Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, they're not going to be that acquirable. I mean, after the season, all three of them they're approaching untouchable territory. If they're not there already, it's just I'm a little nervous for their quarterback position. Maybe Hendon Hooker is the guy, but because he did, in my opinion, he was a first round draft pick prior to that injury last year. So if he can get back to that form, then maybe.
I can't give Hendon. I mean, that injury is pretty rough to come back. Like he was obviously going to be a good player, but franchise, I think
I'm hoping he does.
Yeah,
I'm hoping he does because I really liked watching him.
I think they're gonna have to like stick through with Goff for the next season. I think they have to just try to make that work for another season.
You don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, there's no option. They have like Laporta and Amon-Ra are insane weapons for Goff. He just needs to learn how to, I guess, utilize them better. Because like I feel like they've really picked it up. But yeah, they need to stop playing up and down. They just need to stay consistent all the way through the season.
Well, Dan Campbell's play calling is also really up and down. So
yeah,
that's another thing they kind of have to address.
He tried to be the hero, but
I feel like
he's not the play caller for the offense at least. I think you're referring to.
That's true.
I mean, but he
the
gives his
decisions
input.
that he makes.
Decision-making.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
gives his
yeah.
input. He
His
definitely gives-
decision making as the head coach has been questionable, and it paid off at some points
Okay,
in the
maybe,
season.
he got this team like no discredit to him because he got this team like to the championship game like that.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
I
if
think
you're the Lions, you consider like a JJ McCarthy or a Michael Penix if they
Yeah.
fall to you. But I would not until they show you are the guy. I would not put the hopes of my franchise on either of them. Even a Bo Nix, I would be very hesitant to put the future of my franchise on them. It's
It's
just
okay.
they're in a tough spot.
They have Adrian Martinez. It's okay.
Exactly. No, actually, he's back here.
Yeah, he
He
got
works
cut.
at our business school now, baby.
But to go back about the game,
Hold on.
we talked a lot about the Lions and how they kind of blew it, but I'm also going to give some credit to the 49ers here. That second half, that was a masterclass from not only the coaching staff but also from Brock Purdy, who I like to criticize because I don't know if he's like, that guy, but he proved that he can be a baller. And I also think that, a healthy 49ers team is different because last week they struggled against a young Packers team, and even though they struggled in that first half, getting Deebo Samuel back and him almost having 100 yards immediately, like that's going to open up so many different ways for you to win a game, and that's what they needed.
Absolutely.
And yeah, one thing I noticed about that, they've been like how we've been talking about the Lions playing up and down. I've noticed that the Niners have been like consistently playing down to their opponent throughout, at least throughout the playoffs. Like against that Packers, and the game should not have gone that way. It shouldn't have been as back and forth. And especially with that Lions game, like they let that game slip way too far. They got very lucky, and they had like a hell of a second half, like you said. But I feel like they can't afford to do that with the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say
feel like
lucky.
But it was-
Lucky feels like a bit of a stretch. They were in a tough spot,
Yeah,
but
Yes.
they can't afford.
they
themselves.
clawed their way back. And no. If they play like this in the Super Bowl, it will not be a game.
That's what I mean. Like, they were lucky that they weren't playing. They didn't play like this in the Super Bowl. Like
I
this
don't
is-
think
I
they
agree.
will.
I agree. I
I
agree.
don't
Danny.
see a world where they play like this in the Super Bowl. It's just I made this point last week. Kyle Shanahan is too good of a coach to allow that to happen at a stage like that.
Plus, they have 2 weeks to iron out everything that happened. Like they're gonna come.
They do. They have time, but you could argue rest is an issue because they had a week's worth of rest for that Packers game, and it was tough. It was a tough game.
Well, the way that the Packers play football and the Chiefs play football is very, very different.
Yep.
Well,
especially the Chiefs right now. Like we're not talking about like the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. We're talking about like they look
very different than they did before.
And I think the issue of playing down to your opponents is especially difficult against the Chiefs because on paper the Chiefs don't look that good, but they have Patrick Mahomes. And
to be honest,
Patrick Mahomes, there's a chance.
To be honest, the Packers offense and the Chiefs offense is not a bad comparison. They both really like the power run game, and they like utilizing their tight ends in the open field, and they like getting deep shots downfield. They play offense pretty similar to one another.
But there's a difference.
It's just the execution. Yes, the execution varies.
The difference is
you
that
still see
one has number 15 suiting up for him,
and one has number 10.
Jordan Love is still growing into that role, and I think Jordan Love, he's 100% the guy for them.
Yeah,
but it pains me to say this, but look out for the Packers.
Oh, clip it. Someone clip that. He said it. All right. Well, yeah, very good takes. The very good game. It looked like it was not going to be a good game until it became a good game. Not a good game if you're a Lions fan though, because you like get your hopes up and then, yeah, it sucks. Lots of mistakes. But let's move on to the AFC Championship game, which was a good. It was a game.
It was a game.
It was a
It was a game.
It was like this game. It was a game of all time. It was a defensive game.
Yep.
It was close all the time, and really no one ran away with it. My opinion on that game, though, is even though the score was 17-10, based on how many mistakes the Ravens were making, it felt like it was 1,000,000 Chiefs. Even though the score was only 17-10, like it literally was, but it didn't feel close.
So let me start off on this one. First drive of the game, Ravens run out in man for the first 2 plays, and then the Ravens went to man maybe 3 to 4 other times for the rest of the game. That I feel like getting bullied by a team, you can't let that happen. Even if you get burnt twice, you have to. The Ravens are like a decent man's team. They have people who can play man coverage. You have safeties like Kyle Hamilton in the back. You have Patrick Queen. You have Roquan Smith. You have guys who can make plays on the defensive end. And just and the Chiefs are the best zone beating team in the NFL. Travis Kelce finds holes in the zone every single time. I feel like you kind of have to play to your strengths if you're just going to fall over like what we saw happen in that game.
I mean, the issue with that is they burn the zone, but man is not really a sound formula for them because of how fast guys like Rashee Rice and Valdez Scantling are. Like, you are going to get burnt on the deep shots if you insist on manning up on that.
I mean, and that's what happened on the last play of the game. MVS beat him on a deep shot because they were trying to man up. I'm gonna go next because I don't really have that much to say because I'm focused on bigger and better things. But again, Mahomes rests the case that he's the best AFC quarterback and also the best quarterback in the NFL. He can beat no matter what he's in front of him. But I'm going off of what Yousuf says. I also agree that the Ravens didn't play to their strengths like they should. They had 13 total carries the whole entire game.
Yeah, that was the second thing I was going to say.
They had
that
five.
was
Their running backs had 5 carries between the both of them. You can't win a football game that way. Pacheco had 24. He almost had like it. I just the Ravens came into the season. They know they're a running team. They're a very very balanced offense. They actually thrive off of the run. But I think once they saw that lead and they know they had to get points, I feel like the game plan kind of panicked and they were like, we have to get yards now. We have to get yards fast. And they gave Lamar Jackson, they just rushed it. They just rushed too much and it just ended up hurting them.
He tried to turn Lamar into a pocket passer.
Yeah, he's not a pocket passer.
I'm gonna hop off that. The Ravens are, in my opinion, the most diverse running team in the NFL. They have one of the better power backs. You have Gus Edwards. You have a speedster, Justice Hill, who kind of broke out midseason this year. They have Lamar Jackson, the best running quarterback that we might have ever seen in the NFL. And I think Lamar had one read option play that entire game, and I feel like you have to give him more chances to see the open field. And then you have to get to the outside. All the run plays, almost all of them that they ran just went inside. And I feel like in a game where you're behind, you have to try to get something going. And in the run game where you're like one of the best in the league, you have to go to that.
They just tried nothing different. They just were just throwing.
I want to give a shout out to someone. He actually didn't play in this game. He season-ending injury earlier this year, but someone to look out for: Keaton Mitchell.
Oof.
That if you're hearing that name, before he went down, he played 8 games. He had 47 carries for 400 yards. He averaged 8 yards a carry.
That's huge.
He is one of the fastest running backs, I think, that is in the game right now. I'm hoping that doesn't change when he comes back from this injury.
What was his injury?
I mean, I think it was a knee injury.
Let me see.
It was something along the lines of that. It was either knee.
But I know it was a leg injury. It was a tough one. ACL maybe.
Torn ACL.
Oh.
Yep. Okay. So if he can come back from that, I'm really excited to see. I mean, in the last 2 games, he had 9 carries for 54 yards and 9 carries for 64 yards. And the final game he played, he had 9 carries for 73 yards. I really want to see them utilize him how they use Hill and Edwards. I am really excited about this guy.
I'm gonna talk again here. I really like to see the Ravens for at least for next year going seeing what you can do next. In the draft, I think the Ravens really need to get a D end. Their interior linemen are incredible. You got Matabike in there. You got other guys who can try to make plays in the interior. But on the outside, it's really just Kyle Hamilton coming over with safety blitzes. And I mean, it works, but it's really predictable after a while. Patrick Mahomes ate it up. You would see him coming over, throw it to the same side, worked every single time. And then I like to see a little diversity in the plays here. I like to see them utilize their running backs more like how San Francisco does with Debo. I know Debo's a wide receiver, but you can put 2 of those guys in the backfield and have them run wheel routes, have them run just posts. I feel like you have to get some other options to get plays downfield because that's not something that they've really been really good at. They've been really good at getting those medium plays, getting those short plays, getting those first downs. but I feel like you have to try to make something different happen because teams are starting to recognize the plays and starting to recognize what to do.
The only issue with adding another defensive end in here is that the Ravens run a 3-4. So defensive ends in a 3-4 defense are essentially just D tackles. So they're not going to work the same way as like an edge rusher, as like a Myles Garrett would. What you're looking for is like an outside linebacker, and I agree because your outside linebackers right now are a 30-year-old Jadeveon Clowney and Odafe Owe, who I actually really like. They just don't play him much because he's behind Clowney. I am not particularly worried about the edge for this Ravens team. Something I am worried about is just offensive weapons because it gets a little thin after Flowers and even Odell Beckham, who I like Odell Beckham, but he's not
He's
not that guy.
He's a fossil.
And Rashad Bateman is basically the Ravens' Kadarius Toney. He has had horrible drops.
Speaking on Kadarius Toney,
it's getting hard to watch.
Was Toney hurt or not?
Healthy scratch.
Tony was hurt.
He was hurt.
He was a healthy scratch. Okay.
He was hurt.
He
was
tweeted
hurt.
he wasn't hurt.
Ranted on his Instagram live saying, "I ain't
Yeah,
hurt,
okay.
bro."
He ain't hurt.
He's gonna say that because he wants to play, but Andy Reid literally, like, they asked him about it. He literally showed him the reports, so he's fine. He's hurt.
It was a personal reason and like an elbow on the official injury report.
The personal reason is sucks. That's just
Bruce
The Chiefs honestly
Hey,
did not need
no. When Liam said, like, remember the name Keaton Mitchell might have been a different game. If Kadarius Toney was playing, it might have been a different game.
Yeah, Ravens would have won by 100 points.
I don't know about that. Their offense can.
Okay, that Chiefs secondary was one of the best I've seen. In a long time.
All year, the Chiefs defense have been that, and everybody's saying that teams have been playing bad. They're choking and all that. But I think you gotta start giving some credit to the Chiefs defense. It's not that the other teams' offenses are playing necessarily bad. Like the Ravens, obviously, like they're not themselves. But you gotta give credit to that Chiefs defense. They pressured Lamar, like I told you last week. They did everything that I said they would. They were gonna game plan around Lamar. He wasn't gonna leave anywhere. Like he had his usual big plays, but outside of that, like he got boxed.
Like there was countless plays where you have absolutely no option. Every single receiver was shut down in that secondary. I feel like that's the part that's not getting the credit it deserves because they've honestly been.
Outside of Zay Flowers going for 115 yards, and even with the case of Zay Flowers, who maybe took advantage of it a little bit, he had that one very, very long play, which then the secondary, the Chiefs secondary that just blew that coverage, went and punched the fumble out the next play.
And it was Snead.
Well, Jerry Snead is very nice. Very good at football.
I just don't agree with he was an all-pro, and I just don't agree with that. And I'm glad he's showing everybody like he's talking to shit.
You know who was talking? Who was talking? Travis Kelce. That man was talking way too much.
Justin Tucker.
So chippy.
Yeah.
For what did Justin Tucker
do, man?
What did he do?
It's just hey, get out. I'm trying to play around in the end zone. I don't want your balls in my face.
Well,
Can we clip it?
All right, Chad, we need to clip that one.
Okay. Well, these were some good takes, some good games. The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think the Super Bowl is going to be a really, really good football game, even though we're going to see Taylor Swift every timeout break.
Brock Purdy.
We're going to see
you are only hope. Please save us, Brock Purdy.
Please save us.
How that worked this week.
We
saw how that worked this week.
The entire country minus Kansas is behind you.
Missouri. The states of Kansas and Missouri.
Missouri is irrelevant.
And me.
And Abdullah. The entire country except for just one spot.
One guy in Nebraska.
If somehow Roger Goodell's watching this, can I get some tickets, man? Like I'm trying to go.
Oh yeah.
Hey, let me get in that lottery for this.
All right, let's move on.
The Ravens lost. Those Lamar Jackson edits might have been the hardest videos I've ever seen.
And it didn't work.
They didn't even
know. It's Brock Purdy time. I've been seeing some Brock Purdy ones.
All right. Let's move on now. So now we're gonna move into a little bit of a new thing. We're going to let one of our masterminds in college football and NFL football take the stage for a little bit. Mr. Liam McCann has cooked up a mock draft for the 2024 NFL draft. And basically what he's going to do is he's going to He's gonna read out pick by pick, maybe give a short explanation. And if you have a question or an objection, maybe say something. But
Give
we
it to
don't
me.
have to talk for 5 minutes about each pick.
Yeah, he's
So-
just gonna give up. Yeah.
Yep, Liam, go ahead and take it away, man. This is all you.
Liam Kuiper Jr.
Liam Kuiper Jr.
Okay, so I do have a note on this that I wrote. This is not what I would do with these picks. This is simply just what I think these teams are going to do. This isn't necessarily my opinion of what I think should happen. It's just what I think will. Okay. With that being said, I think the Bears take quarterback, and I think they go Caleb Williams, quarterback USC with the first overall pick. You can argue that they're one position away, and that position is quarterback, but I'm a little sad to see Fields go in my hypothetical world. Anyway,
He's the only one.
Commanders,
He's the only one who's upset.
I might be. Commanders with the second overall pick. I have him taking Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU. I think if Bieniemy stays with this offense, I think he's really going to pull for a guy like Jaden Daniels.
Now,
he can do just about anything.
the only thing I have to say about that one is, couldn't you make a case that they maybe keep Howell? I mean, he was top 5 in passing.
He was also leading the league in picks. Or something.
I believe.
I mean,
he
yes,
led the
but that's
league in
also
interceptions.
inexperience. Like, I don't know. I feel like you could make a case that he stays. And
He got
maybe you get,
sacked a
like-
lot too, which is not his fault. But
Let's see. He
I think they go
threw 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, and he was sacked 65 times. I think you need a fresh start.
That
I
is,
also feel
that's an insane amount.
I
didn't
also
know
feel
that.
like
But that's why I feel like they should go O-line instead of quarterback.
But if you don't take a quarterback here and then he just flops, I feel like it's not a good look for you.
I mean, that's for any rookie quarterback.
I think you
Daniels-
played safe here. That's what I've been doing. And then
I agree.
so
I
our
agree.
run on quarterbacks is over with the third pick, where the Patriots take Drake May.
Ooh.
I think you have a new head coach. He wants to go in a new direction. Mac Jones has effectively been given up on in New England.
Oh yeah.
Bailey Zappi is a quality backup, but he's not a starting quarterback in this league.
I agree.
And if it's not May, it's Daniels. I think the Patriots take whoever's left on the board for quarterback. And you can probably guess who the Cardinals are taking the 4th overall pick. It is Marvin Harrison Jr. I think, in my opinion, he is the best player in this draft, but quarterback is the most valued position in the league, so they're going to go before he is. And then my first trade of the draft, I have the Titans trading up to 5, and they're going to take Joe Alt, tackle from Notre Dame, shore up that offensive line.
You think they have to trade up?
Really,
I don't think
I
that.
really
Yeah,
think they do.
I don't think
Because
so.
the Giants are in front of them, and if Joe Alt is available, I think the Giants go line.
I thought the Chargers
They
would
had
take,
one
like,
of them.
Rome.
I mean, I have seen some analysts saying that, but my issue with that is you just took a wide receiver in the first round last year. You have Palmer, Allen, and Williams all under contract. I just don't think you can justify taking a receiver with the 5th overall pick. But they are taking an offensive weapon. Rome Odunze, I have going 6th to the Giants. The Giants get their number 1 guy. They need a number 1 guy.
Mhm.
And you could,
Yeah.
and I think they probably will go after some of these guys like Higgins or Davis in free agency. But I mean, this is also just a very good idea to take a young guy who you can develop in house. And to Danny's point, with the 7th pick, Chargers go Brock Bowers.
Oh,
So
sneaky
they are
athletic.
getting.
He is sneaky
He's
athletic.
sneakily athletic. He's got the fundamentals of the game down.
don't-
Bowers is a top 10 pick, in my opinion. However you look at it.
I don't think that's a bad idea either, especially pairing that with a healthy Herbert and a new Jim Harbaugh. That could be pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's true.
No matter what, I think they are going to get an offensive weapon, in my opinion. If it's not Bowers, it probably will be one of these
And if
receivers.
that offense can stay
And-
healthy and perform like how they used to.
Harbaugh's the guy for them. I really like that hire.
I agree.
And they're going to benefit a lot from that. And then I have another trade. I have the Jets trading up to 8.
Oh,
They are jumping the Bears to take Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. I think if Olu is available when the Bears pick, I think they take Olu Fashanu. I don't think they should, but I think he is just a behemoth. He is huge.
He is large.
And the Bears stay put after getting jumped, and they take on their board the best guy available, which is Malik Neighbors. Wide receiver out of LSU, you get your brand new quarterback,
I like
another
that
weapon. I don't think you can go wrong with there. At number 10, Falcons had some issues getting to the quarterback. And this, unfortunately for them, is not a defensive-heavy draft, but the best defensive player, in my opinion, is available here for them, and that is Dallas Turner. I think you go Dallas Turner here, you get a very NFL-ready player, in my opinion. And then the Vikings at 11. Nate doesn't like this pick, but I think the Vikings go Bo Nix out of Oregon. I think he's going to jump up draft boards in the combine because he is experienced and he is athletic. So I think he is going to go flying up some draft boards. I don't think he's going to creep into top 10. I cannot see that happening. And even now, I think this will be a reach. This will be a reach, but the Vikings just want to get their guy.
You take Bo Nix over.
I don't think JJ is a first-round pick. I really don't.
Really?
I really don't think JJ is a first-round pick.
I personally am under the impersonation. Not under impersonation.
I've seen
under the
mock drafts
belief
having him
that-
go to the Broncos, which is
That's
kind of crazy.
I would
I've
not
seen
Drew
not
Lock
like that
Jr.
fit for the Broncos.
I may be wrong. I might be proven wrong by this, but I feel like JJ McCarthy, I agree with Liam, in this behemoth of a quarterback class. Without a Michigan roster and Sharon Moore, I don't think he's in the upper echelon, to be honest. I would be
think
fine with the Vikings taking Bo Nix or Michael Penix.
And
They're
I was
both
going
very
between
accurate
the two.
and explosive.
I was between the two, but I think Nix is going to fit what they want better.
A sneaky white guy to back up Kirk, a not sneaky white guy.
And but I do think they bring back Kirk. I think they bring back Kirk, and I think they take
Absolutely.
quarterback, which I don't love, but I get it.
Absolutely.
I can understand it. I can understand it.
Yes.
And at 12, I have the Broncos taking Talizi Fuaga out of Oregon State. He's a tackle who can project at guard. I think he projects at guard at the NFL level, so you can ensure that interior offensive line. I think the Broncos are hoping one of those top-tier quarterbacks falls to them, but I don't think they're going to reach on Penix right here. I can't see that happening. And then, in my opinion, the second best defensive player in this draft goes next to the Raiders, and that is Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback out of Alabama.
Quarterback.
We have a run on defensive players coming up because I have the Saints taking Byron Murphy, that big old guy out of Texas, with the 14th overall pick. I think they're also hoping a guy like Bo Nix falls to them, but you're paying Derek Carr $20 million a year for the next few years. You can't justify reaching on a guy right now unless they just fall into your lap. I think 14 to the 18 range would be a good range for Bo Nix to go, but I think someone's going to reach on him before that. And in this draft, that's the Vikings. This is my pre-free agency mock draft, so I will make another one post-free agency. And the Colts, I have them taking Chop Robinson, the edge out of Penn State. I don't love him as a prospect, but I think he has a lot of raw talent, and I think the Colts recently have just really liked defense, and there's not many issues I can find with this offense right now. That offense is starting to look very nice, especially with Shane Steichen as your head coach. And the Seattle Seahawks, with the final quarterback in the first round, taking Michael Penix.
Really?
Out of Washington. They're going to keep
him
in
I
town.
thought they go D-line.
They're going to keep him in town. They could, but I also think they're going to try and address that in free agency. I think it depends on who they hire. It depends on who they hire as head coach. If Ben Johnson is hired, because he did interview, and he's going to interview with the Commanders this week as well, but he just interviewed with the Seahawks. So did Mike McDonald from the Ravens. But I think if Ben Johnson is the guy for the Seahawks, I think they go quarterback here. And then the Rams, they're going to trade up with the Jaguars, and they're going to take Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa. He can project at safety, but he can also project at cornerback. I can see Sean McVay going in either direction with that one, honestly. And the Bengals at 18, Graham Barton, interior offensive lineman out of Duke. You said what?
You said Cooper DeJean for the Rams?
Yep.
I did.
That's just a McVay pick. Defense.
It seems like a good fit for the Rams, and I would like that fit for them. I think DeJean would be a borderline top 10 pick without that ankle injury to end the year. So he is going to fall down draft boards a little bit. And so some people are going to see even him going at 18, 17 as a reach. But I think he's extraordinarily talented. And someone who fell down draft boards I have going with the Jaguars at 19, Jay-Z Newton out of Illinois. He was projected to be a top 10 pick at the beginning of the year, but he fell down draft boards just due to performance, honestly. It just was a little underwhelming. And to start the 20, the Steelers, I got J.C. Latham, the tackle out of Alabama. You ensure up your offensive line. There's no quarterback here who's going to fall to you. I can see them maybe trading up in the second round for a guy like McCarthy. Yeah, but then you have Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, and J.J. McCarthy all on your roster, and that's a tough four to have. With the 21st pick, the Dolphins, I got Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. You just ensure up that defense because ultimately that was your downfall. Offensive performance was a little your downfall, but there's not much issues with that offense that are going to get fixed outside of free agency. Eagles at 22 had one of the worst secondaries in the league. They're going to go Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson. The Texans at 23 had a surprise year. I think they're going to shore up this defense. And the first linebacker I have off the board is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson. It's a little bit of a reach, but again, there's not many people who are available right now for the Texans at this point in the draft who are going to be an immediate starter for them. I think that's what they're going to look for with this pick. Cowboys, 24, Tyler Nubin, Nate's favorite player, safety out of Minnesota. You can make that the Cowboys won't take defense, but they have for a little bit. They took Mazi Smith in the first round last year, and they whiffed hard. They whiffed really hard with that pick. So, and I don't think this is a whiff. 25, I have the Niners trading up. This would be the Packers pick. I have Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia. He's a cornerback. I meant to make this point after the Niners-Lions, but I forgot. Cornerback depth is going to be an issue for them in the Super Bowl. Cornerback depth is going to be an issue. Outside of Lenore and Ward, it's pretty thin.
I would also like to mention. You continue. You continue. I'll say after you're done.
Okay. All right, 26. The Bucks get some pass rushing help. Leatu Latu out of UCLA.
I like that pick a lot.
Cardinals are going to get Braylon Trice. They could use an upgrade anywhere on defense, and edge is a premier defensive position. I think they take that. This pick I'm actually really excited about. I think the Bills take Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. After that wild card game with the Chiefs, I think receiver is the way they go. They're not going to be – I really don't think they're going to be able to bring back Gabe Davis because he's going to test his market on the open value, and the Bills aren't going to give him what he wants. So I think he leaves.
Falling pretty far.
You said what?
You have Brian Thomas falling pretty far. He's like top 15.
For most people, he's projected around the 20s, but
yeah,
I'm not super confident. I'm not super confident in what his combine is going to look like. We'll have to see. Jared Verse goes to the Lions. He to slot in opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And then the Ravens with the 30th pick, I think they take Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State.
That's a good pick.
That's a good pick.
I think he'll be a nice complement to Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a smaller, speedier guy who's going to create separation. Coleman's going to be a go up and get it guy.
And he is 6'4". He is very tall.
He is quite tall. I think the Ravens need to go up and get a guy, especially with Mark Andrews struggling with injuries this year. I'm not saying that's going to keep happening, but you never know.
I mean,
isn't Aguilar also a free agent?
I believe Aguilar was on a one-year deal. I believe Beckham was on a one-year deal as well.
Yeah, Beckham's out. Beckham's his contract.
I don't think he goes back to the Ravens. I don't know what he's going to do.
I say if they can pull off getting Keon Coleman, I say they also re-sign Aguilar, and that's a pretty solid.
I wouldn't re-sign Aguilar.
You don't think
Aguilar's kind of mid?
He didn't show up.
I would see what you can get farther down the draft, or I would stick with Bateman for now at your wide receiver 3. I really love it, but
I really like that Coleman pick for them, especially with your go up and get it guy. Because 1, he's 6'4". 2, if you ever seen the guy play basketball, he can just jump out of the gym. So he's a specimen, and that would be really
I
nice
think
if
he would be a
pans out.
good fit for them.
Yeah, if he pans out, that's beautiful.
And my issue with this pick is the Ravens just don't really have many pressing needs.
Yeah.
Their offensive line was one of the better in the league, and I believe everyone is returning. Running back, there's no running back worth taking at this pick that is going to start over Mitchell or Hill or Edwards. Defense, there's really nobody you take at this spot who is going to start immediately or even down the line, because that defense, there are not many issues with the defense. With the 31st pick, the Packers switch with the Niners. I think they take Ennis Rakestraw. He's cornerback out of Missouri. The secondary has become an issue for the Packers. I really like Eric Stokes, but he just cannot stay on the field. And Jair Alexander has not been able to stay on the field either.
The Packers also do not have any money, and I'm pretty sure they don't have enough money to give Jair what he would want.
I can see Jair returning on a team friendly deal, but it would most likely be a 1 or 2 year deal.
Liam. So
yeah,
you said they swap with the Niners, so does that mean the Chiefs are winning the bowl?
And I don't know. We'll have to see. But with the Chiefs pick, I got the other deep threat in this class, which is Troy Franklin out of Oregon. I think if Coleman's available, you can go with Coleman. I can see the Ravens and Chiefs going either way. I can see the Ravens taking Franklin, but I think Coleman is a bit of a better prospect.
All right.
And okay, there's my first round mock draft, and I will make another one post free agency and post combine, but it's a start.
What a solid draft. I mean, we didn't really talk that much at all. Great stuff. We're gonna take a break, and then we'll be back with some NBA. All right, welcome back. We have moved to the National Basketball Association. As you can see, us three have put on our team's drip. Dany's sending text messages, and we're gonna talk about some NBA. Switch it up to basketball. First thing let's talk about is over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of high scorers. Luka had 73, Embiid had 70, Pat Booker 62. I mean, is this just the era we're in? Dullah, talk about it. Kick us off.
I'm gonna go on a limb, and I'm gonna say that, I mean, obviously this is the era that we're in, but I also don't think that it's a defensive problem. I think we're just in the era of just pure scores. But obviously Luka had the huge game, but if I'm gonna talk about somebody that has been on a tear, who has been having such a week, I'm gonna go Devin. I think Devin Booker's been more impressive to me. I think Booker's been more impressive than Luka. I mean, he had the 73-point game, but Booker has dropped 62, 44, and 22 back to back to back. That is just unbelievable. I mean, they are 1 and 2 in that span, but that's a Suns problem, not him. But I mean, it's just been a fun week for NBA fans because we're getting closer to Wilt's record. But yeah, that's my thing. I'm happy about it, but I also don't think it's a defensive problem.
The Wilt record that we have no video evidence of.
It never happened.
I mean,
I
have a very quick point. First off, I forgot that I brought this up with me, so
we're
still chilling.
You got both.
I got both of them. Anyways, very quick. Obviously, it's a very, very offensive league now. One thing I've noticed that is consistently trending upwards year after year after year is the amount of free throws certain players are shooting. I mean, it is insane. Watching the Timberwolves play the Thunder today, I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but he gets so many calls, and that's not even entirely his fault too. Anthony Edwards, after the game, specifically said, quote, "I'll take the fine, but the refs didn't give us any calls all game." He said, quote, to the ESPN reporter. And so, I mean, it's not this specific case. I'm just saying players are shooting more free throws. Points per game averages are going up and up and up. So it's just a more offensive friendly league. What you can do on defense without getting a whistle on you, down every single year.
I want to add on that. I feel like it's been more of a referee thing than a player thing when it comes to the free throws.
I think
there are so many there's so many ways for the defense to get fouls calling them, and I think just the players have been learning on offense how to utilize that, and they're just taking like what the game gives them, and that's that's fair game to them. That's a good way to play the game. I mean, you're maximizing your points, but the I feel like the Loki the fucking foul calls have been terrible. The refs, there's some games where they're calling absolutely everything, either on one team or both, but it's just they're calling the most BS calls, and I am not for it. Find me, I don't care, but the refs are awful. I think
If I could talk,
refs, they're some of the worst refs like in all of sports.
if I could like talk about what I think is really causing this is there's been a resurgence in teams attacking bad team defenses. If we look at like the top scorers of this season, we have Luca against the Hawks, who have DeJounte Murray, but otherwise they're atrocious on team defense.
Yep.
And then you have Joel against the Spurs, really young team. Their team defense is also not the greatest. And then you have Giannis and Devin Booker, both against the Pacers, who have decent like man to man coverage, but team defense wise, when they're pick and rolls, there's a lot of mistakes you can really pick apart there. And I think players have just gotten better at recognizing that pick and roll. They give me the shot, I'm hitting it every time.
I mean,
It's become more of that.
They're following the James Harden method. That's exactly what he did. He would pick out somebody that he knew was not that keen on defense, and he just attack them. But to go off of what Dany said about the refs, I think we need to like start cracking down. I think they just need to let the players play a little bit more. Like not everything. Like yeah, like you can. I think they should just allow a little bit more contact. Like not every contact is bad.
I also think we're in 2024. We have this insane technology.
Yeah,
we could use some of it too. Obviously there's challenges. You can have challenges on like foul calls, whatever. You can challenge one more things. But the replay center, I mean, does not get utilized nearly as much. Obviously, basketball is really fast paced. You can't necessarily say, "Oh, expedited review," but like
it shouldn't
it's
take
like a majority of the reason why officiating is getting so inconsistent is human error, and we gotta start eliminating. That's in all sports.
I mean, they did it in soccer, so. But also, I agree with that. It shouldn't take Patrick Beverley grabbing the camera for the refs.
Yeah, like there's been some very obvious calls within the last couple of years. Like anyone would see it, but I feel like the refs should face more repercussions for those like extremely terrible calls.
But I'm here for the scoring. I don't care.
I agree.
Yeah, big fan of the scoring.
It makes for some crazy games.
Big up the scoring. Big up basketball.
Speaking of free throws and the advantages they give a team, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors double overtime thriller. Wow, what a game. Lakers shot 43 free throws to the Warriors 16. Just want to say that aids the point to the last, but let's not talk about that. We're talking about the double overtime, the absolute just cinema game that happened just a few days ago. What do we got from that? I know I was upset with the result, obviously. I think Curry's dagger 3 was all for nothing. It was so sad. 4.7 seconds left, and the lead is just gone like that. So,
I mean, something is up with this. Like, okay, so the Warriors, they've been really they're not themselves at all, especially the last 2 years, but definitely this year. It just kind of feels like Curry's out there by himself. And this is the one game that I saw where it looked like the normal Warriors, like Clay Clay had like 24. He was hitting his shots finally. You had Wiggins and Kuminga both dropping 22. Like if you see that, that's what happened in the finals. They won the finals. But the difference between that was maybe the free throws, maybe the refs. But I just feel like the Warriors on defense are just such a liability. Like, I mean, I know he's the greatest basketball player of all time, but a 50-year-old LeBron James should not be dropping 40 on you. Like, there's got to be some type of defense, especially with like Anthony Davis. I don't. Did he get hurt in that game, or was it the game after?
He got hurt in the middle of that game, and
late in that game.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But you just have to take advantage of that, and I just feel like their defense is why they lost, not really the refs or free throws.
To go off that with the defense, the Warriors bigs got played off the floor. Sarge played 15 and Looney played 5, and they were Looney in his 5 minutes was a minus 14 plus minus. And when your bigs can't really contribute anything, and you have to have Draymond Green out there playing center against a guy who like Anthony Davis, things are just not going to work out.
Exactly.
All right.
On to the point of D'Angelo Russell. I want to stop hearing those trade talks. That man has solidified his I feel like he solidified his role as the starting point guard. Like he played phenomenal against the Warriors.
Mhm.
I mean, his last 6 games, he's averaging 28 points a game.
I think he's found his rhythm.
He heard the trade talks and
yeah. LeBron's ready to make that call.
If I were to trade anyone on the team, I'd probably trade Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has not been playing up to that contract.
No, but think
he
about
did good against the Warriors though. He put up.
This could also help the case why you trade D'Angelo Russell.
Up that trade stock.
Yeah, he's playing at a high, so ship him off now for like a DeJounte Murray. But the problem with that, the drop off right now, there's not much of a drop off, so there's kind of no point anymore.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of it, Abdullah, you made a good point there, shipping people off. Let's talk about the trade deadline, which is coming up very soon. Abdullah is going to give us some of his predictions. I believe 3 predictions of his about the some trade deadline moves that could happen, won't happen, he wants to happen, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously we can have our comments about it. So take it away, Abdullah.
Well, so I just mentioned that one. The Lakers are one of the teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams, but they seem like they're the front runner for a potential DeJounte Murray trade. But I think this is the trade that they shouldn't do because of how good D'Angelo Russell's playing. I think you go with what you have, especially he's playing up to what he can play. He's taking over, Austin Reeves has not been playing great, but he's picking up the slack. I just feel like Russell's averaging about 28 points a game in his last 6 games, while DeJounte Murray's a little bit worse than that. So I feel like if we're going to look off of, especially going into the later half of the season, I want to take the players who's hotter, who knows the system. I think it's a time for the Lakers to build on what they have instead of keep shipping the GM, whatever. I think you got to ride it out. And maybe see a trade in the offseason if this doesn't work out, but there's no point right now.
It's kind of what they did last year. That made them so far in the playoffs is they rode out with this lineup they had. They've traded for a lot of that lineup and acquired a lot of it, but yeah. That's my
And then a trade that I think that should happen is I think that the Cavs need some more guards, especially off the bench. They don't really have much. I think players that they should target are they should enter the conversation for Bruce Brown, Toronto. The Knicks are in with them. I believe the Lakers are too, but I think they would benefit for somebody like that to come off of their bench and get some extra points or play some defense. Another person I'd see they could target is like a Pistons guard, Alec Burks. I feel like he would fit that system really well. He could go in with LeVert. You have 2 lanky shooting guard, and they could play very well together. But they definitely need something off that bench. They don't really have that it factor, and that's why they're not as dominant as we usually see them, especially from last year. And then the trade that I think that needs to happen, okay, and it's going to involve my team right here. The Knicks need another ball handler if they want to go far in the playoffs like I think they should. Off the bench right now, you're playing 2 young guards and McBride and Grimes, and the inexperience is there, but I think you need someone that could, lead. You need a veteran presence off the bench. And the player that I would love for them to get, and I think they need to get, is Malcolm Brogdon from the Trailblazers.
Ooh.
And what they should give there's a lot of speculation of what they should give up, but I think a trade that they should give up is Evan Fournier, a first-round pick for this year and a second-round pick this year. And you may think, okay, that's a lot for just Malcolm Brogdon. But here's the thing. The Knicks this year have 4 first-round picks. They have their own, they have Dallas's, they have Detroit's, and they have Washington's. Those are all high-value picks. So you can ship one off a little bit. You can still get whatever in the draft, what you need, but you can also get that veteran presence that will help you now. And I think Brogdon would be that guy. He did it for the Celtics last year. He was really good for the Pacers for a couple years. He just has that experience, especially playoffs, that the Knicks would need. And with a team that's 11-2 since the year has started and has had the best top-rated defense, I feel like adding that defensive guard, that ball handler that knows that can quarterback the court would be really beneficial to them, especially if they want to make a push for the playoffs a little bit deeper than they did last year.
Just want to mention that the Detroit pick is protected 1 through 18, and the Washington pick is protected 1 to 12. So I don't think
I mean, you can also ship yours. You can ship that. Like, you have options here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Great takes, Abdullah. Trade deadline and really any sport always is very exciting to see. We like to see moves being made. But let's talk about something that's also coming up very soon. We're gonna have a little bit more of a, I guess, hands-on interactive segment here now. We already know who the All-Star starters are for each team, like them or not. Of course, the All-Star going back to an East-West kind of style this year, which I personally think is good. But let's talk about the pool of possible reserves and who we think the 5 reserves should be coming out and to Indianapolis and playing. So, prediction here. You guys see, we got ourselves a little tier maker right here.
I like this.
So, we have the West reserves, we have the East reserves, and then there's going to be a long list of people that don't
Before
make it.
we
Obviously,
even start, go ahead and put Curry in there. Before we even start, I don't think anyone's gonna debate
No,
that.
that's definitely
all right. So we don't have to have only 5 in at any time. We just need to finish with 5 in each. So we can put people and say yep and or no, and then we can filter. So let's start that way. So
Just go down the line.
Okay.
There are 9 total reserves for each side.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I a casual?
Yeah, you are casual.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, let's do 9. I feel like 5 is a little slim.
Well,
ignore my slip.
I'll give you something first. So I think this person should have been an All-Star starter, and it's kind of, I mean, biased, but
Brunson.
Jalen Brunson needs to be in there,
But
especially as of late. He has been I could be crazy.
East.
The best point guard in the NBA right now.
Best point guard is outrageous.
Over Luka?
In the
I don't
East,
think he's the best point guard in the league.
in the
That's
East,
a
in the
little.
East, he's better. They have Halliburton starting over him. They have
In the
Halliburton
East, in the
He's the
East,
best
I
player.
could see it. I could see it in the East.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got 2 out of the way. Donovan Mitchell. We could just say we can.
I would say
yes,
I would
no
say
it right
yes.
now.
I would say
Yeah,
yes.
I think you give it to him, right?
Like there's not
And then we can filter.
other than like who else? I don't see who
I
else.
mean, you could give it to Jalen Brown, but
Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo.
For sure, Bam Adebayo. Yeah,
Bam, he's a depoy candidate.
All right, Paulo Banchero.
I think you give it to Paolo. I think Paolo's been really good this year.
I
Paolo
feel
has
like
had
that's
another biased thing, but I feel like I would give it to Randall before Paulo.
I don't know.
I would try to
I
contest
disagree.
you on that.
Danny, what do you? You're the.
He's
what do you
averaging.
think on
He's
this?
averaging 20. He's averaging almost
Banchero.
23, 7, and 5 right now.
So is
Yeah.
that a yes from you, Dan?
I'd say it's a yes.
I would give it a
All right.
yes.
The voters have spoken. All right, Jalen Brown.
I think we wait on that one. I think we wait to see how things fill out before we give it to him.
So no
Just,
ranking.
I just put him. Yeah, just
Yeah,
leave him.
yeah,
Put him in the
Just
back
leave him
here.
in the bottom,
All right.
yeah,
Tyrese Maxey.
for sure. I don't think there's much discussion. He has been the only other player besides Joel Embiid who's been able to get any offense.
That Sixers offense, besides these 2 players, is literally non-existent. I'd put him in.
Yeah.
Trae Young.
I think you wait again. We put him at the bottom.
Because we don't have any guard. Well, we have 2 guards. I feel like it's gonna be 2. We have a lot of guards actually.
I would also
Derek
put
White.
Guards.
I think no. I don't
I
think
think-
Derek White's done enough.
Dan.
I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on him right now.
another obvious one. Put Anthony Edwards in the West, please.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, he's behind my. No, he's not. I'm blind. Hold on. Where is he?
Next
Wolves
to
next to Jimmy and Paul George.
Oh, there he is. Got it. All
there
right.
he is. He's in the jersey.
Big fan.
What do we?
Can't even
What do we
find him.
say? What do we say about Derek White? Probably a no.
I'd say out for now.
Yeah. I'd say, and put Trae Young next to him too.
Ooh.
Trae Young's out for because we have so many guards. I feel like
I would know. Just put him there for now, and we can see if we like it.
Yeah. Julius Randle. Abdullah, I know your vote.
I think he's averaging 24, 9, and 5 as of now. That's pretty all-star stats to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the better forwards left. Yeah, I'd say
I don't even think it's even left. He's just he's been playing pretty great.
Yeah, no, like out of all the reserves, he's one of the best forwards that are.
Scotty Barnes.
I think you
This one's really contentious, I think, because Scotty Barnes is the entire Raptors offense. There's
It's true.
very little else on that team, but they're
Reggie
also not.
Barrett.
What do we want to do with Scotty?
I'm kind of on the fence about him.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna put Scotty out for now.
For now. All right. Jimmy Butler.
I
feel
think you
like-
have to give it to him.
Yeah.
But the Heat have been kind of atrocious. They've
I
lost.
feel like
Yeah,
he's
7
been
games.
hurt for a very
Hey, but
long
I don't
time.
think we've known from the past that you can't judge the Heat now. You have to wait for the playoffs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
especially as a
Jimmy
Bucks
Butler in out.
I think you put him in.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
Liam, you,
All right.
you go next. Let me hear something, Liam.
Ellie, we need to hear
Folks.
something from you.
Folks, that's the East. We actually have we have 7 East reserves in, so we could
You
play
want to
with
decide
that
you want to
later.
start
Though.
on our 2 right now, or wait
Okay,
until
guys, give me
let's do the West.
give
let's
me
do
your
the West.
thoughts on this, but I'm gonna go yes on Sabonis.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I
Bonus
think
was
All right.
amazing.
Paul
Kawhi.
George.
Go ahead and put Kawhi up there.
Kawhi's been very
All right.
quiet.
His teammate, Paul George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
I put Booker over him. I don't know.
Booker, Davis for sure. Maybe Fox.
I'll put Davis in there. Why is he?
Yeah, go put it.
I'd also
I say
put
yes to
Booker.
Fox.
Put Booker in there too, please.
I think Fox is a yes, in my opinion.
I
don't know.
agree. Fox.
Yeah,
Fox is
yeah,
the
What
Fox
do
best.
is-
we, what do we say
I
about
mean, yeah,
PG?
there's not that many guards.
I'm gonna go out on PG.
I'm gonna go out.
Put
Same
Rudy
with
Yeah.
Gobert. I
Put
think
Rudy-
Gobert is
put
out.
Rudy Gobert is like the deep.
Yeah,
Like my favorite right
I
now.
think you put Gobert in, and I think you take Chet, and I think you take Sengun out too.
All right, Cat. Are we gonna take Rudy over Cat?
I'm not doing that.
I mean, out
okay.
of these, out of these 5 guys, we can
but
only put
Rudy
one more
has
in.
been-
And I
Rudy has
don't
been
think I don't
so
think you put Gobert
defensively
over
dominant.
Cat, and I don't know if you can put him over Chet.
I'm gonna say something here. I think you have to put Alfred Şengün in here. Alfred Şengün has been on an absolute
I am
tear
gonna
for
agree
the
with
last
you there.
one and a half months.
Alfred
I
Şengün.
think you bump Gobert out and put Cat in.
Yeah,
I
I do.
agree
I
with
think
you.
Gobert. I think Gobert's been too defensively dominant to just.
And
think
then
you
I
can't-
no, but I agree with Yousuf because I don't think I think Şengün's been playing better than Gobert despite the depoy type of status. He's
I
just
agree.
Yeah, because
he
Sengun can score.
He's been thriving, and then I'd also put him over Chet and Markkanen too. So like,
Are we done?
Okay. All
I
right.
think that's
Nine.
not
We forgot
quite.
James
that is
Harden.
9.
James Harden.
James Harden's not an all-star. He's
Sorry.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
he's a role player.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren.
No,
definitely not an all-star. 0% chance.
Laurie Markkinen.
I don't think so either.
He needs
No.
something great to
So-
happen.
We got.
I
2
think you
more.
put Scotty and Jalen in.
I think you definitely put Scotty. Scotty definitely goes
Yeah,
in there.
you put Scotty, and I agree with the Jalen. I think Jalen's been
Yeah.
playing.
I think you put
Derek
Jalen
White.
in.
I
Wait,
think.
what positions do we have in right now, though? Do we have?
Do we have
Yeah.
to? Oh yeah, that's right.
Every
We have
position.
to consider position.
Oh,
right?
we do not have a center. I'd like to mention. I don't know. Oh, we don't.
Bam?
Bam. There's Bam. Bam. I
Bam?
did not see him. That's on me. That's on me.
We also have Joel Embiid starting. So
True.
He's pretty center.
All right. What
I
are we
think that's it.
thinking? Anyone shout out something you think we could change?
I like it. I'm
I
done.
like it.
This is
All
this is
right.
a perfect list.
I think
West
if we were to do-
reserves
if we were
are
to do a
Stephen
10,
Curry, Anthony Edwards, DeMontis Sabonis, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker,
it. I like it.
De'Aaron Fox, Cat, and Alperen Sengun.
Does not sound wrong at all.
East reserves: Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Paolo Banchero, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Maxey, Julius Randle, Jimmy Butler, Scotty Barnes, and Jaylen Brown.
Beautiful.
And just missing the cut: Derek White, Trey Young, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, James Harden, Chet Holmgren, and Laurie Markkinen. Are we solid
I think
with
we
this list?
cooked.
I
I
think
think
we
we
I like
I
cooked.
it.
think,
like
yeah, this looks
Think
pretty
we
good.
cooked?
This looks damn good.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna take a little bit. We're gonna take another break here, and you know what we're coming back to. Ladies and gentlemen, this
Dullah
week,
debate.
this week was supposed to be Dullah versus Dany in the cycle, technically, but you have a special guest on, like Yousuf. You cannot pass up that opportunity. Yousuf is a very fierce debater himself. I think we're in for a really good treat, a little bit of a special episode here of Dullah's Debates when we come back.
All right. So Yousuf and Abdullah, welcome to the second round of Dullah's debates. I went from tying with Abdullah a week ago to judging, and our guest has the privilege to debate Dullah this week. We have some fun topics. We went all football last week, and we're gonna switch it up a little bit. And with that being said, the first question is going to be NBA, and it is going to be: are the Celtics ever going to get over the hump and grab that title that they so desperately want, or are they destined to be the team just out of reach? Yousuf, since you were the guest, I'm going to let you go first, but hold on. I am going to start a I'll say 1 minute timer where I'll cut you off.
1 minute?
1 minute. And then Abdullah will get to
That's-
respond.
That's
Abdullah
a long
will
time.
have a minute to respond.
All right.
It is pretty long.
Can I get a minute 30?
Hold on.
All right. Hey, Yousuf, touch gloves real quick.
Touch gloves, pussy fart. All right. Yousuf, your minute starts now.
Okay, so Boston Celtics, this is a team that we've said for a while. Every single year we said this year's the year that they have to get it, to see they go over the hump, and it's really never been going right for them. This year, and specifically, they've gotten two key assets: Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, both guys who can both get points on the floor and can play defense, which are both things that they really need. They're fourth in the league in points per game, and they have the fourth has highest offensive percentage per game. And they also have the highest defensive rebounding, which is something they can really attribute Kristaps Porzingis to. But the main aspect that they are deficient in is their assists per game and their actual playmaking. Their players are really ISO heavy. You got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, both guys who like to take people off the dribble, like to get ISOs, pick and roll, keep it, pull up jumper. And I feel like that type of offense is really hard to kind of get things going in the playoffs, where things kind of slow down, where matchups are where you play them 7 times. They know your moves. They know what you're going to do. It's a lot harder to get things.
Time. All right. Abdullah, you're going to have 1 minute to respond, and then I will set 3 minutes total for you guys to debate back and forth.
Okay.
All right. Abdullah, your minute starts now.
All right. So, Yousuf, are you taking the stance that they are going to get over the hump?
I think they will not.
They will not get over the hump. Okay. So I think that they could potentially get over the hump, and especially this year, they are, with record, they are the best team at home, and they are the number 1 seed in the East by 4 games. This team, they've been complete before, but I feel like this is their best roster that they've put out in the last 5 years. They have the playoff experience now. Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're coming into their own as performers. Today, Jason Tatum hits that game winner at home to snap that skid. Like, they're getting over the things that they struggle with. They struggle with winning games late, and they're starting to figure it out. And I feel like that could be the difference.
All right. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. You guys will have the opportunity to go back and forth, attack each other if you want. Get riled up, get Yousuf's mom in that room and swinging. All right. Since Yousuf went first, Abdullah, we're going to let you go first here, and you may, prod at him, ask him questions, pose hypotheticals, whatever you want. Your time starts now. Yousuf, you may respond however you want. Just try not to cut him off. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
To add on what I was saying before of why they'll get over the hump, the Celtics this year have lost a total of 11 games so far, with winning 36. Most of their losses have been to the premier teams in the league, and most of their wins have also been to the premier teams in the league. So they can quite literally play with anybody. And when the games, aside from sometimes teams play down to their level, but usually with teams that are seen as below them, they have blown them out of the water. And I think that they're coming with a vengeance. They're starting to put together an identity that, this is a different Celtics squad. We're going to be more defensive. We're going to be more aggressive. We're going to come at you. We're not just going to let you do what you do, and we're going to barely win. Like, they're going to come out and they're going to punch.
So to go off that, I feel like the main issue I feel like this team's going to run into is the fact that in the East you got 2 really dominant big men in Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they lost a key piece who could really put them where they wanted him. Grant Williams, he's a big guy. He may be short, but he is heavy, and he can keep people where you are. And Robert Williams, yeah, of course. And Kristaps Porzingis, I don't know. I don't think he is like he doesn't have the mass to keep those two guys out of the paint. I feel like that's where they're really going to see like the loss of those two guys on the floor.
I could agree. I mean, I guess you can see that they have a problem with guarding the inside men, but the problem with but it's outside of that. If you're just gonna play the big man, Joel Embiid can have a great game, but they're not gonna get anything out of their guards because their defense on the guards. I mean, they have a depoy candidate in Derek White. They have Drew Holiday, who is known to be a lockdown defender. Jason Tatum is coming to his own. Jaylen Brown has produced like he produces in the playoffs, especially defensively. That like he's one of the best defending shooting guards in the league. And I feel like when it comes down to that, you can afford a liability with a big man when you have that supporting cast. Especially in the East, they are one of the best scoring teams as well. And that balance between a really good scoring team and a good perimeter defensive team, it could be a year that we could see them, finally make a push because that's their problem. They get beat in one instead of one aspect, it's two. It's like last year with the Heat. It was getting beat by inside with Adebayo and then outside with Butler. And then they focused on, we cannot give up threes. We cannot give up those perimeter shooters. And by adding a Holiday and Derek White coming into his own, this team is way better built than the years before. And
I think it's a little bit misleading to say that they're really good at guarding the 3-point because teams are shooting 35%, which is below league average, but that still is not like a really low number. Teams are shooting 38% from the corners and from the wings. They're shooting 38%. They're good at guarding the top of the key. They're good at getting those pull-up jumpers, but teams are kicking out and they're hitting the shots. And I feel like another thing that you can attribute is their team defense.
That is time. I'm gonna have to cut you off, but those were some good points before that. All right. That is round one. I'm gonna go ahead and save my scores. All right. Round two, we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna hit this football question. That question is Nick Chubb's prime over? Are we gonna see him return to form when he does return to the field? Or are we gonna see someone different? Like, since his leg was nearly snapped in half. Abdullah, I'm going to let you go first. Your minute starts now.
I think Nick Chubb, we've sadly seen the end of his prime. Not that he won't return and be a good running back, but the dominant Chubb that we are used to seeing is over. He's 28 years old. He's getting towards that threshold that running backs get where they start to lose their swag. Like we've seen it with a bunch of running backs in the past. Especially with an injury like that, not a lot of people come back from a torn ACL and are the same. Especially in football, it's a sport where you are gonna need to be completely healthy, especially with your legs. And he is primarily using his legs, and I think that it's just detrimental to his prime, and he just is not gonna be the same player.
All right, Yousuf. I'm gonna let you get the rest of Abdullah's time since he cut short, and you'll get a minute. So you're gonna have a minute and 13 seconds.
13 seconds.
A minute and 13 seconds. That's a long time. Right?
I'm saying 13 seconds. Like you should not be giving me that. I'm lethal with 13 seconds left on the clock.
You think you're Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, okay. You're 13 seconds. Oh. Chad, is he flirting with me? Can someone comment? Is he flirting with me? All right. Yousuf, in response to Abdullah's take, your time starts now.
I think that we've seen in the past that Modern Medicine's really caught up. Giving a few examples in the NBA, we had Kevin Durant torn Achilles, came back. I know it's a different sport, but even in football, you had Breece Hall last year, torn his ACL. He came back this year. He wasn't like Breece Hall from the past, but he was still kind of decent. And looking at Nick Chubb's game in general, he is not a speed back. He is a guy who uses his power and he gets through guys. I feel like an ACL tear, when you tear your ACL, you come back and you're not really a speed guy. It affects you a lot less than it does if you are someone like a CMC, or like a Justice Hill on the Ravens, someone who really uses their speed to get out of tough situations. So I feel like it's just Nick Chubb's game in general that's really going to allow him to come back from this injury. I also don't think he's going to be prime Nick Chubb anymore, but I still think he's going to be an above average, a serviceable running back in this league.
Okay. With that, we're going to start our interaction period, and I'm going to give you guys a question. Is a healthy Nick Chubb the best running back in the league? Yousuf, you can jut in.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
you can interrupt him. You can get
I'm
rowdy.
trying to
You
be
don't need
polite.
let him finish talking.
I saw the last week's episode, and things are getting heated.
It got heated, but hey, it's passion. It's passion. Go ahead.
Okay,
You,
okay.
you can jut in. All right.
All right.
So
it-
hold on. The question, I'll just repeat it. The question is a healthy Nick Chubb the best running back in the league? And if not, who is better?
Wait,
Abdullah,
pre or post injury?
3
Pre or
minutes.
post injury? Pre or post?
However
Okay.
you want to answer the
he
question.
said a healthy Nick Chubb. So
A healthy. All right.
Um,
Time starts now.
a healthy Nick Chubb is not the best running back in the league. He has not been at all since he even in his healthy years. He still hasn't been. You have Derrick Henry. You have Conor McGregor. Different sport. But
Conor McGregor.
you have Christian McCaffrey, who has just taken off. I think that he was definitely up there on the top, but he is never. I can't give him that he's ever been the top.
I don't think you can really take that away from him because in his best years, he was averaging 5 yards a carry, 5.6, 5.5, 5 yards a carry. And this the way he plays the game, you're going to get explosive plays from him every single game. There'll be 3 guys on him, stiff arm, truck, out of my way. He's going right to the end zone. No one's stopping.
You're also getting explosive plays from I'm pretty sure every 32 starting running backs are going to give you explosive plays.
No other running back is like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb and Nick Chubb alone.
I mean, he's definitely like a very physical back, but he's also not the most physical. I mean, you can give more physical to. I mean, you can also give it to McCaffrey too. He's running over people now. I mean, he's a running back that is good. He is not the best. I'm giving it. I can name 3 to 5 different running backs that I would potentially put over him.
I think that's the key word there. Potentially, you can. I agree that you can't ever really say he is guaranteed 100% the best, but I feel like he has to be in that conversation 1 through 3. You have guys like McCaffrey.
Yeah, but
Nick
the question
Chubb.
was, is he the best? And that's no. He could be
But
one of the best.
If he could be one of the best, what's to say he can't be the best?
Because Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. And if you put up their stats side by side, he might have more yards per carry, but the service that you got out of both of those are just absolutely, they blow him out of the water.
And I feel like if you give Nick Chubb an offense like Chris McCaffrey has, Nick Chubb just explodes out of the water. Chris McCaffrey can do so much because there are so many other people on that team. You got Ayuk, you have Debo.
You can say that, but McCaffrey was better than him when he was in Carolina without an offense. I mean, he is a team by himself. I can't give Chubb that.
Yeah, but we can't say that. That's a hypothetically can't prove because Nick Chubb has never had an opportunity with an actual team that has
1 minute.
actual weapons on it.
He's been to the playoffs before with a pretty good team, and they lost to the Chiefs. And in that game, he did not play very well. McCaffrey in the playoffs, and Derrick Henry in the playoffs. Derrick Henry brought his team to an AFC Championship. McCaffrey brought his team to a Super Bowl. In Chubb's one sole playoff experience, they couldn't get
30
over.
seconds.
He couldn't stand a D line of the Chiefs, and it was a Chiefs D line that wasn't good yet.
I feel like in that sense, I feel like you can't just all put this on Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's team also, if you look at the stats in that game, the receiving yards on the other guys, they were not catching any of those passes were not even. You can't the receiving yards compared to the rushing yards. If
But
you
we're
can't
talking
get
about a running back.
5.
I feel like if you have any receiver that can get competent, like maybe 100 yards, that opens up the running game so much that.
Time. Okay. That was a good round. Okay. So with that, we're going to go into our final round. And the question is with the new head coaching change for the Bucs, they brought in Doc Rivers. Is he the guy going forward? Not even just for this year. Is he going to stick around? Yousuf, we're going to let you go first. Your time starts now.
I see with Doc Rivers, we see a really different look than we have seen in the Bucs for the past 2 other coaches with Adrian Griffin and Mike Budenholzer. They were both guys who, even when we see guys on the outside from ESPN, other analysts saying that the Bucs should run more pick and roll, the Bucs have really run a lot of pick and roll. Even with Dame and Giannis on the floor, we just did not see much pick and roll. And Doc Rivers, what's his go-to? The pick and roll. We've seen it. We've seen it. James Harden and Joel Embiid, although they didn't get as far as they'd like to, they got to a point where they were just 1 win away from winning that series. And I feel like with a team with the Bucs that have a lot more other pieces, the Sixers don't have many supporting pieces, and the Bucs, their depth is one of the best in the league. And I feel like with that, Doc Rivers can really push this team to its very limits.
Okay. Abdullah, you're going to get 10 extra seconds. Your response starts now.
Doc Rivers is a good coach in the sense that he can make teams better, but he can't win with teams. The only exception is the 2008 Celtics team. Here's my thing. The 76ers, they're the 3 seed without him. So it wasn't a coaching thing. He had a good team around him. He had it set up. It's I mean, you could put as much as the players as you want, but basketball is a very much a game plan sport. Unlike football, you follow a game plan and the coach is the one that puts it out. There's no offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. This is all on him. When you put you have a team that wins so many games in the regular season and then you can't win in the playoffs. And I think that goes down to coaching. And that's why he's been on, 4 different teams. He just can't seem to figure out a winning playoff formula.
All right. Final round, interaction period. We're going to do 3 minutes, 30 seconds here. Whoever wants to go first, your time starts now. It's clutch time, baby.
Go ahead.
Abdullah, would you say that the Bucks offense or the past 2 coaches, would you say those were above average offenses?
Yes.
I as a Bucks fan, I heavily disagree with you. The Bucks defense.
Yousuf, they've won a championship. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, they are a top. I mean, they might not have looked the way that you wanted them to, but they have been top offenses. They've made it far in the playoffs, farther than Doc Rivers' team. And I don't think adding that Doc Rivers team or Doc Rivers type of coaching style fixes anything. It might even make you worse.
I think the Bucks' biggest deficit over the last few years has been their offense. Their defense has been superb. I know this year it's been down, but ever since Adrian Griffin caved in to Brooke Lopez and was saying that the drop coverage is the move, things have been going up. And Doc Rivers is an offensive-minded coach. With the Clippers, with the Sixers, with the Celtics way back when, it's always been an offensive game plan. And I feel like the Bucks are a team that you have 2 of the greatest scorers the league has ever seen, Dame Lillard, Giannis. And if you can get those guys in spots where they can hit their shots, where they can get the easy ones, I feel like that's where Doc Rivers really, really shines in his game plans. And I feel like that's what the Bucks really, really need.
Doc Rivers had the MVP on his team last year and went nowhere. It's not about having the players. It's about what he can do with the players. And he has clearly not been able to do much ever since his championship. He that's what he thrives off of. He thrives off of his past. If you go current, he can win you. It's like the same problem a lot of teams has is they look really good in the regular season and then they just look like a completely different team in the playoffs. And like I said before, there's a reason he got fired because he just can't win the playoff games anymore. Or not ever since then he hasn't been able to win playoff games.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if you can really attribute the Sixers' losses to Doc Rivers. The Sixers have been playoff chokers for a very long time. Think about the Raptors, where they were just a Kawhi shot away, and there were multiple plays in that game where you can look at they didn't run back on defense. They weren't closing out on shots. That is a team thing. That's a team thing. That's something that the Sixers are known for. Joel Embiid, historical crybaby. I'm just going to say it. Game 7, after he lost. Yeah.
But I'm also gonna have to disagree with you on this one because the playoff choking thing. I mean, you can't really say that without Doc Rivers yet because right now with Nick Nurse, they've been able to win they've been able to win the close games now, which Doc Rivers could not win the 76ers last year or the years before.
Okay. Real quick, I'm pretty sure Doc Rivers last year had the Sixers did have a very high. I'm pretty sure they won 4 of their 1 overtime games last year. That might be wrong. I know they didn't. They were incredible in the when the games got clutch. I know in the playoffs that was not the case. In the playoffs they full caved. But I feel
the reason that teams keep coaches is because of how they perform in the playoffs. The regular season is a lot. Getting the playoffs is one thing, but you stay because you win championships.
Liam, give me 30 more seconds. Give me 30 more seconds. About to cook. Anyway,
you have 20 seconds.
Player leadership is a huge part in this. And Doc Rivers' past few teams, he has not had a real leader. He has not had a real leader on a team since Kevin Garnett all the way back in 2008 when he won that championship. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is a leader. Joel Embiid, I do not think that guy is someone in the locker room who you can say he was really bringing people up. And Giannis is that guy. We've seen what he is. He has put this team on his back, full backpack, and he's the GOAT. My heart. Number 34.
Okay.
Put it in the Raptors.
So, for no particular reason, you are each going to get 30 seconds to make your final points. You can touch on any subject you would like that you have talked about all day. This is not an interactive period, so you may not argue with one another, but you just may summarize your final points. Yousuf, you have 30 seconds starting now.
Okay, so starting off with the first one, the Celtics. I feel like the Celtics. Oh wait, am I good? Okay. Celtics. Celtics are a team that, again, I've said it at the beginning of my thing that we've said this is their year over and over again. We're like this delusional Bears fans, delusional Cubs fans. This year's our year. We got it this time, and it's not been that case. We've seen the ISO ball has not been working for them. They're running the same offense this year. I do not think it's going to get them wins in the playoffs. Going to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, power back, does not need that ACL. He is him, full upper body, stiff arm, truck. Hit the hit stick on him, easy every single time. And then we're going up to the Bucks. Doc Rivers, he's going to bring something to this team, the offense that they've been needing. Two defensive coaches have got them the ball, and Doc Rivers will do good.
Oh, all right. Good rapid round from Yousuf. Okay, Abdullah. It's clutch time. You have 30 seconds. You can respond to anything you just said. You can make your own points. Your time starts now.
I've mentioned a lot that Doc Rivers collapses in the playoffs, but I'm just going to solidify this here. He has, in the last 3 seasons, he has lost in the semifinals. He can't even get to a conference finals. So I don't know what the Bucks expect him to do there, because they have the same problem. You're just moving on. Especially the Bucks just fired a coach that gave him a winning record, and then you're gonna go somewhere who's proven that he can't win in the playoffs. You're bringing him in thinking that he's gonna win.
Too slow, buddy.
Okay, that is it for our second Dullah's debate. Should I go round by round?
I was like, great.
Should I go total?
Oh, round by round. Round by round is more hype.
I will go round by round. That was a great debate. Not as heated as last week's.
Keep it respectful here. Keep it respectful.
All right, with our first round, Abdullah, I had winning 10-8. But the second round, which was the Nick Chubb round, Yousuf tied it right back up with a 13-11. And then in the final round, Yousuf stormed back late to tie Abdullah at 9 to send us into a 30-second overtime.
What a debate.
Abdullah had a 4-point lead with 45 seconds remaining. And Yousuf stormed back, and with the rapid overtime, Yousuf had 4-2 in the final overtime. The final score, Yousuf 34, Abdullah 32, with a late comeback victory. That is my opinion.
Okay, that's fair. I just don't know how he scores 4 points when he just went over his same things over time. He just repeated.
That's what he told me
to do. He said, summarize your points.
No. Before the overtime. How does he score 4 points?
Before the overtime.
He literally went Celtics are good. Celtics are good.
That last claim he had with the Bucks, low-key code.
He also had all the. I also had to go against my whole entire, all those were.
It was a sticky predicament. It was a sticky predicament.
I did what I could, but those were all. He had all my views that I wanted to use.
It was not quite as heated as last week, but wow. Okay, it was I did not expect it to be a nail biter.
Yousuf, how do you also had words into 1 minute time periods?
I used to talk really fast.
I'm just saying I would not have been close if I was able to get all the points I wanted.
With that being said, a great Dullah's debate week 2. We will be right back.
Shake his hand, Yousuf.
Shake that hand.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from a very, very exciting, not necessarily as hot, Dullah's debates. Yousuf, we're glad that you accepted the challenge and also stepped up to it. Liam, thank you for judging. I feel like your time limits were very, very helpful to keeping things in order.
Definitely
and not
keep
spiraling out of control. Yes, I agree with you, Abdullah. But now we're going to introduce our new topic, a new topic that we're going to be doing every episode. This is Hot or Not. Hot or Not, we're talking about hot takes. So you can make a take anywhere from tomorrow to about like a month out, whatever. You make your hot take, and it's when there's no is this hot enough or not, because that's what the other 4 people are going to decide. You make your take, and then the other 4 will vote on 1 out of 5 on how hot it is, dubbed by Mr. Abdullah Rusavov the Scoville scale. So the 4 of them will agree, and your take will be assigned a point value. And then, there's not necessarily week by week scoring, because some people's takes will be 2 weeks out, 1 week out. If your take lands, we'll have a consistent scoreboard going. If your take lands, you get the amount of points as you were assigned for how hot it is. So there's some risk, there's some reward. Who knows? And so, yeah, let's kick this up, kick this thing off. I'll get us going with our first hot take. My hot take is occurring on Thursday, February 1st, in a little town known as Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. And my hot take is that the Nebraska Cornhuskers take down Wisconsin in PBA on February 1st. In men's basketball, they lock them up. PBA is in one of the most challenging places to play, and not only the Big Ten, but in really all of college basketball. Nebraska is 13-1 at home, far better than anyone in the Big Ten. And so, yeah, I think that place is bumping. It's difficult. Purdue couldn't do it. I don't see Wisco doing it too. All right, what do we think?
I'll go ahead and give that I'll give it a 3.
I was going to say 3 as well.
I think there's some.
Leave it at 3.
I think it loses some merit because they beat Purdue there earlier this year, so we can't quite have it as spicy. But I'll give it a solid 3. I think it's still like the number 6 ranked team is coming into an unranked team's home stadium. It's
all right.
They're simply just losing me a little bit because of what happened to Purdue there. So I think it's a lot more plausible. Yeah.
All right.
I'll go next.
Liam, why don't you go next? Oh, Dany, go ahead.
I was going to say this might get Abdullah acting up a little bit, but my take is over the next month. I say that by the end of the next month, I can see the Knicks at the 2 or possibly first in the East. And I say this because their next games are against. They have a game against the Jazz. They have 2 against the Pacers. They play the Mavs, the Grizzlies, the Lakers. All these teams are very low in the standings right now, except for the Pacers. But I mean, they're still below them. And I think they could at least split that series. They have 2 games at the end of this month's stretch against the 76ers and Celtics, which will be their biggest challenge. But I think they're on a 7-game win streak right now as well. I think if they can continue on this, because OG's had a crazy effect on that team right now. He's been playing amazing. I think they can
incredible.
They can manage to sneak into that 2 or 1 seed, at least for the time being.
I would like to give that.
I'm gonna give that a 4.
I'm giving it a 4. I'm giving it a 3. As a Knicks fan, I'm giving it a 3.
I say 4 because it's really high up, because those big dogs at the top of the East, the Celtics, the Sixers, the Bucks, really, really, really tough teams. But not a 5 because I think the Knicks are heating up, and I feel like especially if they make a move at the trade deadline that benefits their team, they're really heating up then too. And so it's not impossible, but like it's gonna be very difficult considering this is not entirely in the Knicks' control. They also have those other teams lose some games too. So, but in 1 month from today, it's possible. 4.
I'm gonna give it a 3 because in the next month the Knicks don't have the strongest strength of schedule considering. So it wouldn't be the most insane thing because of just like those are games that we're supposed to win anyway. It's not like we're playing like consistent top 5 seeds.
Okay, but neither the Celtics have arguably an even easier schedule. They play the Hawks, the Wizards, the Heat.
But you said 1 or 2. You didn't say 1.
1 or 2. I'm gonna give it a 2.
2?
Because the Knicks are fresh off winning 7 games in a row. And the top 3 seeds The Celtics have won one in a row. The Bucks have lost one in a row, and the 76ers are in the midst of a 3-game losing streak.
But the
right
Bucks lost
now.
to the Nuggets, arguably the best, or like one of the best teams in the
Well,
league.
but you did include the 2 seed, and the Knicks are only 2 games behind the Bucks.
Let me get my
the Knicks. Hold on, I'm not done. The Knicks are 16-5 at home, and in the next month they have a nice little home stand. And in the midst of a 7-game win streak, I don't think that's that much of a hot take. I can see the Knicks flying up the standings.
Chance the Knicks get the 1 seed. There are 6 games behind the Celtics. I don't think that happens. I think they could easily get the 3 seed, and I think it's a little possibility that they get the 2 seed. The Bucks have the 2 seed right now, and they play the Blazers, Mavs, Jazz, Suns, Wolves, Hornets in the next few games, which are all, I think there's like a big variety of games that they should definitely win, games that might be a little closer. But you compare that to the Knicks schedule, where they are playing the Jazz, the Pacers, the Lakers, Grizzlies, and then the Mavs in the next 5 games. I feel like there are more games that the Knicks have to play that are going to be closer than the Bucks, and I feel like that's really going to be the thing that is going to change the outcome of Abdul's take.
That isn't a bad take.
What's the average of that?
We got
5,
we got 2, 3,
2?
4, 5. So 3.5 is the average. Do we want to give it a half point assessment? We could, or we could maybe budget.
I'm
I
giving it
feel
a
like-
strong. I'll give it a strong 3.
I feel like because of the randomness and the fact that there's so many other factors, I feel like it could be a 4.
All right.
Danny, you said, what did you originally say though? You
I was saying that
He said 2. He
Oh,
said
wait, that's
2.
his take. That's his take. Wait, I forgot.
Oh,
I'm
shoot.
Stupid.
what?
Never mind. I
I
was like
said
asking
2.
what you gave it.
Oh, Liam.
All
I
right,
said 2.
I can go next because I also have an NBA take.
So what's my official score? 3.5.
3.5.
All
All right, we're just
is
taking
your
the half.
point.
Okay, I'll take it.
And Nate's was 3.
Yes.
Do
My
you
take,
want a higher score?
yeah.
Yes, you do.
Well, I don't know.
Well, hotter score
it's
means less
risk-
chance
it's
of it
risk
happening,
reward.
but more
Yeah.
reward.
Yeah, it's risk reward. You're right.
Okay.
My hot take is I think that the Chicago Bulls are going to make themselves a case for a strong 6 seed. They're gonna get out of the play-in allegations, and they're gonna be in a solid playoff spot come in a month.
You think they're not going to trade anybody?
They might, but I think it's not gonna be a trade that
I honestly have a hot take to
takes them.
piggy off your hot take.
To beat what?
It's to piggy off of
Whoa.
yours, and it was that DeMar DeRozan.
Oh.
DeMar DeRozan could be on the trade block.
I think he definitely is. There are reports
So,
out there that
Abdullah,
say
Yeah,
that.
is your take-
I see him. I see him
Bulls
gone.
player is on the trade block right now.
They've
Abdullah,
been shopping.
you could put a term on your take and say, considering they don't trade anyone.
No, I think if they trade someone, it's gonna be. I mean, I don't
Better?
think that. I think they trade. I don't think they
Kobe
get rid of-
White.
I think they get rid of someone like Vucevic.
Okay. Abdullah, if you're not going to term your take, I'll give it a 5. If you're not going to put a condition on
No,
it
I'm not
give a
putting a
4.
and say,
that's my take. I just think they're gonna be a solid playoff team. Like they're
I give it a 4.
okay, I'm going to go 5.
I'm giving it a 4 because I mean, they are winning. They're at the 9 seed right now, and that 6 to 9 region of the Pacers, the Heat, the Magic, and the Bulls. The Bulls technically they are 5 games back of the 6th seed. And so, when did you say that they would be
next month.
next month?
Oh.
Okay.
Wait,
I'll
next
say
month
4,
5. Next month. If it's next month, then I give it a 5.
Yeah.
Danny,
I'll give it a 4 because
4.5.
their schedule is pretty light, except for literally they only play. I think the Celtics and the Timberwolves are like the only teams that are above them that they play, and they play the Magic once as well. But the thing is, the Heat are one team above them. They're on a 7-game losing streak. They've been playing like very bad this last stretch, and they play some really good competition in the Bucks, the Clippers, the Heat, not the Heat, the Celtics.
The Heat play the Heat. The Heat.
Oh my
They
God,
play the
the Heat
76ers.
versus the Heat.
They have a very difficult schedule, so I see them falling behind the Bulls, and then also, I think they beat the Magic both times that they play them. I think they play once or twice within the next month. They play the Magic also play the Knicks. They play the Timberwolves, and I feel like that's a very hard stretch for them. But I feel like in such a short time frame, that's the reason I can give it like a 4, and it's not a 5.
All right, 4.5 for Abdul. He's starting
Okay.
off spicy.
Gonna happen.
I'm gonna.
That was
I
all.
think this is a
Honestly,
pretty
I-
spicy take.
I could see it happening though. I feel like that's the most likely one that will happen out of
Really?
most.
far.
Interesting.
Okay, I think this is a pretty spicy take, and we will know the answer to it in 2 weeks' time. I think come Super Bowl Sunday with the Chiefs and the Niners, I think Patrick Mahomes throws for 400 plus yards in a loss to the San
Wow.
Francisco 49ers.
That's a 5.
400 and a loss? You think
That's
it's a
a five.
shootout?
That's a 5.
I think we're gonna see a shootout come Super Bowl
400 against
Sunday,
the,
and
the Niners secondary?
Niners
Liam has
secondary
a
is the
point.
weaker part of that defense.
Yeah.
Liam has a point with the shootout. This could be a shootout. They lose.
Hold on.
That would be a 400-yard loss. I'm
I-
still gonna go 5 though, because 400 yards in a
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
I'm also
is a
on
lot.
5.
I'm a
Yeah.
5.
The
That's
the
like
only
crazy
way
take.
I'm giving it a 4, and that's because of actually I'm giving it a 5 because a loss. I don't believe that.
The loss is what throws it.
Give it
All
a
right,
5. That's my problem.
Liam gets the spiciest take of the episode.
Because
Liam,
with a
Liam,
five.
Liam, can we get the
400 yards, the
Charles?
odds of them losing, especially in a situation like that,
Exactly. That's what I'm
very
saying.
low.
If he's gonna throw for 400 yards, you're probably gonna win. By
I just
3
got to
straight.
get spicy. Well, if I said Mahomes throws for 400 yards and a win,
That's
you
not
would have
that
given it like a
spicy.
2.
Yeah.
That's a very possible thing.
Yeah. No, that's
I
a
gotta-
fair point.
I got to
I
keep you
think
on your toes.
the winning team, regardless, is gonna have like 300, like 400 plus.
400 plus is still ridiculous in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not with these two offenses.
Not for Brock Purdy, yes, because they're not going to throw the ball that many times to where he's in
Screen
a situation
pass.
to
Screen
have
pass for
that.
99 yards. Screen
But
pass for 99 yards.
Mahomes, that is not because I can see the run game not working for the Chiefs, and they have kind of strayed away from it at times in this year. So I can see Andy Reid putting it solely on Mahomes' arm because of his experience in the playoffs and his experience in the Super Bowl. I can see this coming. I mean, what Mahomes ran for 500 yards side to side in that Bucks game in 2021. I don't think it's too. I don't know. It is spicy, but I can see it happen.
All
Good.
right.
My take. I'm interested to see what you guys think about this. I do not think that the MVP frontrunner by a country mile right now in the NBA, Joel Embiid. I think he's not going to win the MVP because he will not be playing enough games.
That's a 1.
That's a 1.
That's not
That's
ridiculous.
I'm gonna say
What?
2.
He has to
Come
miss like
on.
3. He
He has
only
to
has
miss like 5 more games.
and he's gonna
Six
miss
more
the
The whole
games.
rest of the
We haven't even
season.
hit the All-Star break yet.
He's gonna miss
Yeah,
the
6 more games.
Yeah, what a hot
Liam,
take.
what's
That
you
was
say
that
1,
was a-
2?
Oh, we're halfway
say
through the
1.
season. He can only miss 4, 5,
Six.
5 more games?
It's
Okay,
6 more.
games.
How many games
40.
are left in the season?
Oh,
A lot.
almost 40.
No.
Like
Give him
roughly.
my debate dub. That was a miss.
Holy miss, dude.
We
I
saved
thought
you
that
for
was
last.
harder.
We saved you for
I
last.
thought it
Oh.
harder.
All right. So Liam has a 5. I have a 3.
A 4.
Abdullah
4.5
4.5.
or 4. Yeah,
4.
Danny
Yeah, 4.
3.5.
3.5.
And Yousuf with a fat 1.
Was it 1?
We take the
Okay,
points we
one.
get. Hey, if I get it, that's a free 1 point. I'll
If
give
he
the
gets it,
Charles
he gets it a
Barkley
free point, that's what it is.
guarantee. Guarantee
Watch
on that
his
one.
take be the only one that comes true.
Yeah, and
Mine
I'm
is
winning.
okay.
And then I'm winning.
All right,
That's
folks. After that, we are going to wrap up episode number 2. I hope episode number 2 was a little bit better than episode number 1 in lots of ways. We're trying to work on it. We're watching the film. We're studying. We actually had Yousuf
Yes,
do an
sir.
analysis on our first episode himself. So we got outside perspectives, and we're gonna keep getting better. Keep leaving those comments.
Best believe that.
Subscribe.
Give it up to
I need a
Yousuf.
full out of me.
Oh yeah,
Best
can we
believe
thank
that.
Yousuf for filling in
Give
for
it up to
Davison today?
Yousuf.
Give it up to Yousuf.
Give it
Yeah,
up.
he did an excellent job. Excellent job.
He said, Mew.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't forget, follow Instagram, follow TikTok, listen on Spotify, shout it out. Yeah, that's Dullah, that's Dany, that's Liam, that's Yousuf. I'm Nate, and
Peace
until
out.
episode 3, see ya.